This day 764 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, like a sponsor of coming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please contact me directly. Very greatly appreciate it. They're doing Simon Tov Ein Aleph, Sif Dalit, to Tov Ein Beis, Sif Hey. Well, we're talking about what you can and can't eat after Mincha Ketana. Behind the move, the Rabbi of Shasi Chamra, Pesach Shum the Chamra Migra Gori Tabas Achila. Rabbi used to drink wine at Pesach because wine would give a person a desire to eat, which is of course what we're interested in, not a Pesach. You drink a lot of wine, makes you hungry. But a little bit, on the contrary, it doesn't make you want to drink, it actually makes you satisfied. So because Rabbi said, too little wine, don't drink. Rabbi Mutar, but last permissible, because of this reason. This is the same thing. Therefore, it's astonishing, but the two are right. The yain yichol does hein ravi mat, drink either little or a lot. You go around because it makes you want to eat more. There's a negative Gemara there's up against the Gemara. Speak about this. It should to those who answer. The avkav, the soid, even though it gives a person, it satisfies a person, and the soid kokach she has or it doesn't satisfy him so much to forbid him to drink on that account. The issue to those who say the port that said soid, a very little amount. It makes you satisfied. Klomar ma'at, put said soy means not that a very little amount makes you satisfied, but rather ma'atu soy. It makes you very little satisfied. Here's the two because we train him. If we join these little bit he drinks of yontif, the two first cups on the night of the seder, harbe, it's a lot. Migargor. Ba'avgad says man rav kodim because even though they're drinking way earlier than the kosos, so come migargor. Still, it makes you have more desire to eat. Of course, we know that Torah Markin, but all this is very strange where the Torah get it from. Nearly a time when we should have spoken, so he says, Arukh HaShulchan suggests that because the Psalm doesn't mention the distinction between a lot and a little. That is actually a Gemara Brachos, not a Gemara Pesachim. Shemaina and Chiluk. There must be no distinction. Lokin love and Shtamid Shas. Otherwise, the Shas would not have refrained. Omar al Hachtabava, and that was to say that which Rabbi said, Lo Maran El Tuva. That it only applies a lot. I'll put them, he said, sorry, but a little bit makes you satisfied. So therefore, when the Gemara Brachos says that, it must be it's only making a decision in terms of the Hilchos Brachos. I'm not sure exactly what difference it makes, but anyway, the Ram always gives that cloud and doesn't mention it at all. She says Yashma Atvadai Migragor. And drinking a little bit of more alcoholic spirits certainly makes you want to eat more. Okay, somebody's on Mishabur on this. Mishabur writes that less than a cup, or at least most of a cup, it's certainly not going to make a person satisfied, and it's permitted. Mishabur writes that 2 cups of revius, or most of them, can be considered to be a lot, and it's permitted. If it's not so much, it's 6.6 ounces, or most of 6.6 ounces. Bialacha says that everything has to do with the nature of that person, according to what he feels, whether it causes him to want to eat more or less. It says a lot causes you to want to drink more. Nevertheless, you should not drink so much that you're satisfied, with that the wine makes you full, because that will certainly ruin the desire to eat. And also, you can get drunk and not fulfill the mitzvahs of the night. It says that certainly our more alcoholic spirits, you have to be very careful not to drink so much, because you're definitely going to get drunk. And it's not clear whether this principle that causes you to want to drink more applies to spirits like it applies to wine. Arukh HaShulchan clearly holds that it does, at least in a small amount. Hey, A cousin who does not know what they're going to say at the Seder that night, mutar achila can give him to eat ahead of time. Of course, they have a child who knows. The Shabbat asks whether it's a male or female. And achila don't give him to eat. They shouldn't fall asleep. He has to be able to Yitzias Mitzrayim. They'll be able to explain to him the Yitzias Mitzrayim. The explanation to that, which it says in Mechilta Shen Yodel Shal Apsach Lo, that you should open to him. Nearly the Perusha, the Sheyusho Kadosh Shem Bodasli Shoel. This is a child who does not have sufficient intellect to ask. Kisof Pergim Lesuka Lishoel Yodea. Doesn't have enough intellect to ask. Avol maybe much omri, but he understands what people tell him. Not just a mitzvah to explain to him the issue of the concept of Yitzias Mitzrayim. There's a custom not to eat lettuce, grain, and Erev Yontif in order to eat the mara with desire. Pesach. So to the first day of Pesach, they refrain during the day. If the chutz la'aretz, they'll to eat it with gusto the second night. There's no basis for this. Mara is supposed to be a positive experience of eating, that you want to do it with gusto. On the contrary, it's memorized affliction. Those who curtail their eating of matzah on the first day, and order to eat the second night with gusto. Also diminish the amount of wine. Unless you're going to drink a lot, because that was skill to provoke your desire to eat, like you wrote. Mishnah Berurah goes down, of course, from beyond Mincha time. On the first day Yontif, you have to refrain. On account of the second day Yontif coming up, just like any other Yontif, it's not to be silly Pesach, Sukkot and Shavuos will be the same thing, because it's Erev Yontif Sheni. V'yeshem machmir od shelo yachol peros ber Pesach. Those who have machmir not to eat fruit. Kedei lechol charosas with gusto. You don't have to be concerned with such a custom. Those who have a custom not to crush or break matzahs, or you might not come to eat, you should not come to eat for them. You shouldn't be concerned with this. Only we have to be concerned with this is the raisa, which is not. This is not. Mr. Burroughs gives a different reason. He says the reason not to be concerned with this is because you don't normally eat matzah the rest of the year. Not sure exactly what that has to do with it. Anyway, back to Arukh HaShulchan. The mitzvah matzah, which was properly baked. Then it was pulverized, and it was kneaded with wine and oil, with vash and honey. It's not cooked. Ain't no kriya matzah shira. It's not called rich matzah. Also, a chlo ba'erev Pesach. Now allowed to eat it on erev Pesach. The matzah shira ain't a sha'isani lo shemei peros. Because matzah ashira is only when the dough was kneaded with fruit juice, and the original dough, not the matzah meal, remade dough. Avanis bashla, but if you have, if this mixture which you made with matzah meal and oil or wine and honey was cooked, mutar l'chol, you're allowed to eat it. V'lo ba'afiyah b'lo mashke, but not if it's baked without any beverage. This is like kind of a knedel, obviously. Let's see what the Mishnah Berurah says. It says whether it's baked afterwards again or not. You can't have it, but only if it has the form of bread. If it's obviously it looks like a cake, that doesn't apply. That's talking about actually. He's talking about there where the matzah meal you can't eat if it doesn't, whether it's baked or not. But as long as it still has some sort of form of bread, if it's tiny enough specks, it doesn't apply. He also says that. No, sorry, that's not going that. I went. Sorry. No. It's going on actually. The whether it's baked or not baked, when you put in the honey or oil or whatever it is, and but yet it wasn't cooked, regardless of whether it's baked or not. But again, it only has a Torah lechem. And of course, regardless, even if you can't eat it, you still can't be yotzei your chiyuv of matzah and not Pesach with it. Necessarily, depends on such a scenario, I guess. Sharad's here in terms of frying. The Balatanya Chayra are makel if you fried it, just like you cooked it. But I'm not sure about that. Yeah, okay. If you began to eat before the 10th hour, and you continue until nightfall, as like any other meal which continued from before Shabbos after Shabbos. Mitzvah lirchotz galech be'evyantu b'shgoyim noyik mo b'Shabbos to take a bath and to cut one's hair, obviously for chatzos, and to wear nice clothes like on Shabbos. Mishabura brings down that the conclusion of the question is that if you drank wine in a meal, you don't have to make a bracha on. Well, that's going, I guess, what happens if you went straight from before Yontiv into Yontiv. Made a bracha on wine during the meal. You don't have to make another bracha on wine when Yontiv begins. Just kiddush after you say the Agara as customary. And when you get to the part about eating, you make only the bracha of matzah b'la motzi, assuming somehow you made a motzi before Yontiv. But according to our minhag, then Mavarach on each every cup. So then he wants to say that you even make the bracha on the first cup, not just the kiddush, not because it didn't kiddush, which didn't require to make a bracha, but because it didn't have arba koisos, which is this topic of the next simon, Tafayim base. Then he has seva of arba koisos, of reclining and the 4 cups. Avgab Shabbos Yontiv Mosivim Chol Kodesh. Even though Shabbos Yontiv we normally add from the weekday on to the holiday, we can make kiddush and eat from before nightfall. But not a night of Pesach. You'll see it says eat the meat on this night. But Laila Mamish, got to be the actual night. Because matzah Pesach, and matzah isn't from Pesach. Same status. You'll see matzah some yachlu. You got to eat a matzah more. That's what we learned the Mishnah that Pesach should not eat until nightfall. Shabbos, not like every Shabbos and every Yontiv, where you can eat from before Yontiv begins. Pesach matzah morar, all 3. Pesach and matzah and morar. The mitzvah specifically after it came night. Therefore, the cup of kiddush which is one of the 4 koisos. We'll see in the other vegetables, karpas. And the other differences we make. So the children should ask questions. The kosh game as Agora, certainly the same Agora. It's just got to be at the same time as you would eat matzah more. It's got to be after nightfall. Besides that, the kiddush is to eat matzah. Like any kiddush, which has to be linked to the suda. Since eating the matzah has got to be at night. So to the kiddush got to be at night as well. The table should be set before Yontiv begins. Like aristocrats. Whose table said a long time before they eat. Immediately when it gets dark. For the children, should not fall asleep. Even if he was sitting in the base of marriage and learning, it's to get up and go quickly and do the Seder. That's what it said by Akiva Shimon. He never says it's time to lead the base medrash. Pesach and Yom Kippur as well. So and by Pesach, so the children should not sleep. Let's remember you seize matzahs night Pesach, whatever that means. For the children that they shouldn't fall asleep. He used to distribute toasted grain and nuts, which was therefore no candy. The children by Pesach, so they shouldn't fall asleep and they should be able to ask. The Talmud Shadover. By the way, the Mishnah says also in terms of davening, you have to say Kriya Shema and daven early and go immediately home to start the Seder as promptly as possible. But Talmud Shadover. The reason for this is Vishayin Shatorah Kpida. So his Torah is concerned al she'elos abonim that the children ask on this night. So you complain, like I said several times, Your child will ask you, etc. In the primary mode of saying over the story of Exodus is by the children questioning and the father responding. Because that way the pure Emunah is clarified. They would need all these acts that the children remain awake. And not sleep, as the Seder, the time of the Seder. Since incumbent upon us to do the same thing. What does it mean to grab the matzah? They would do quickly. Or Magmina Skora, they would pick up the table. They would seize the matzah from each other's hands. Ayin Sham. In brackets he says, There's a minute that the children seize the afikoim from underneath the father's pillow. Gimel. Besides Shulchan Mekalim Noim, you should arrange your table with beautiful dishes, vessels. To extend you possibly can. You know, the rest of the year it's best to diminish the amount of beautiful vessels you use. To commemorate the destruction of Beis Hamikdash. We do all sorts of signs of freedom. Even if he has silver vessels which he got as collateral on a loan. If the owners are not opposed, so it's appropriate to put it on the table at night of Pesach. That's why Chazal required reclining night of Pesach. Because that was what was the case in their day. Aristocrats who would eat as reclining on pillows and mattresses with their godless in a manner of greatness. They should prepare your seat from before Yontif. And the place you sit should be a way in which you recline in the manner of freedom. In our day and age, when people are not accustomed to eat reclining, you don't have to recline. But everybody else argues. But on the contrary, it seems to me, the game of the mitzvah, which is it's a mitzvah to make changes on this night. Much because the Ram Perek Zayin should they have to make changes on this night. Today, so the children see and ask questions. There's no better change than reclining, which you don't normally do. Now we're doing it. The Raya is the evidence for this. Sharia Mishnah about Mishnah. The Shelas Manishtana, and the question Manishtana Lois Kuru Shelas HaSeva. In the Mishnah, it doesn't mention the question of reclining, and yet in our version of the Manishtana it exists. But time reasons it's not a Mishnah Loisa Shishina. The Mishnah wasn't a change. The Ben Mali Shol says the child didn't have anything to ask on that. How about Shav? But now Shalashini does ask on the difference. Therefore, the primary law is like most poskim that there's an obligation to do a seva to recline the night of Pesach. Dav, Raya Brura, also clear-cut evidence. The tzarech seva that one is required to recline. Mimish Larei Psachim. It comes to the Mishnah in Arei Psachim. Shashim, where it says, "I feel Anish Yisrael." Even a poor person in Israel, lo yochal, he should not eat ad save until he is reclining. Klomar, meaning, little thing, but don't say came in the aniyu since he's poor of ain darka baseva. He doesn't normally recline, ain tzarech haseva. Therefore, he shouldn't have to do a seva. Kamashon lo. That's telling us no, that's not true. And that's true also for us. Even though we're not accustomed to a seva, we still have to do a seva the night of Pesach. Ramah writes, even a poor person who does not have pillows, Yosef al-Safsel, he should recline on a bench. Some sort of reclining. Al-Safsel on the bench, to put down his garment or some other object to I guess, recline on. As long as you're not leaning at all. That same Akeva's leaning is required, mandate in order to fulfill the mitzvahs for which it is required. The bracket says here, Rabach Kasav, the Avel Eno may save. A person who's in mourning doesn't do a seva. his position was ejected by the Chok Yaakov against the Gdol. Maybe he was there. They bring down to such a minhag. If they don't know Hegla save af lo b'ribikoyim, because the master's novel does recline, but now with a large amount of blankets. Vishas kitl yesh deos, in terms of whether you wear a kitl night based on different opinions. Do whatever you want for Duke. Okay? The Mishnah brings down that even though an Avel is Chai Seva, should not do a Seva on a dignified bed, resplendent bed, but rather you should recline a little bit shinoi, like on a bed with one pillow underneath his head or on his friend's knees. Mishnah brings down also the kittel, the minhag is not to wear. Nevertheless, those who wear, we don't protest the fact that he's wearing. I think nowadays the minhag is almost universal to actually wear, except for some diehards. I think the Sfardim don't. Hey, Shumei say gabo, when you do reclining, you shouldn't lie on your back, blow up not on your face. El Shain said that reclining, well, their covenant is not honorable. El Tzid on your side. Law, you mean on your right side. El Small on your left side. Tell you mean on your side, if you're on your right side, there's a danger. We shouldn't have best to the side, you mean, because the esophagus is on the right. Shumata, you mean when you're leaning on your right. Niftach HaKovash HaKonim Elov, the what's it called? Yes, I know it means hat. The valve. The valve on the top of the on top of the lung opens up. The food has to go into the esophagus. Miyad tells him, if you go lying on the right, then the food will get into the trachea, not the esophagus. You're going to put yourself in danger because it's going to go into your lungs. Besides that, the nobleman usually recline left side. If you recline your right side, it's not going to be a seva. And you should know that the best seva in this respect is no between lefty and a righty. Even though he's the opposite in his way he deals with his hands. Deals with his hands. Who got the other way he put him, even though his hands is the opposite of any other person. It's not true about the inner organs. That's why a person who's lefty also has to recline on the left side. She'll call them of everybody else, not his left side. And HaShulchan says here in the brackets, he can lie on his friend's thigh. Mishabura says, Lasebas Yomin is not going to be a seva because you need to eat in your right hand. But that begs the question, of course. Anyway, Mishabura also says, you either go by the right of any person, of regular people, so to speak. If you did a seva on, if a lefty does a seva on the right side, he's Yotze. Because his right is like anybody else's left, which is a shtick of Chiddush. Bishop also says that the poskim say that if you support yourself on your friend's knees, or that's also called a seva if you're in dire straits. But it's not called a seva if you lean on your own